The action bias. Plan? What plan? Many of our case studies showed a pattern similar to Jen and Omar's. Get started quickly and see what happens. There is nothing wrong with planning, but you can spend a lifetime making a plan that never turns into action. In the battle between the planning and action wins. Here is how you do it. Wow. Select a marketable idea. In Jen and Omar's case, the idea was as follows. Maybe we are not the only one who like nice maps. Would other people like them enough to buy one from us? A marketable idea doesn't have to be a big, groundbreaking idea. It just has to provide a solution to a problem or be useful enough that other people are willing to pay for it. Don't think innovation, think usefulness. Don't think innovation, think usefulness. Wow. I'm grateful to Jason Fried from 37 Signals for this idea. When you are just getting started, how do you know if an idea is marketable? Well, you don't always know for sure. That's why you start as soon as you can and avoid spending much money. I see. But for more ideas, check out the 7 steps to instant market testing on the next page. Wow. 7 steps to instant market testing. 1. You need to care about the problem you are going to solve, and there has to be a sizable number of other people who also care. Always remember the lesson of the convergence. The way your idea interests with what other people value. Wow. Make sure the market is big enough. Test size by checking the number and relevancy of Google keywords, the same keywords you would use if you are trying to find your product. Think about the keywords that people would use to find a solution to a problem. If you are looking for your own product online but didn't know it existed, what keyword would you search for? Pay attention to the top and right size of the result pages where the ads are displayed. 3. Focus on eliminating the blatant admitted pain. The product needs to solve a problem that causes a pain that the market knows it has. It's easier to sell to someone who knows they have a problem and are convinced they need a solution than it is to persuade someone that they have a problem that needs solving. 4. Almost everything that is being sold is for either a deep pain or a deep desire. For example, people buy luxury items for respect and status, but on the deeper level, they want to be loved. Having something that removes pain may be more effective than realizing a desire. You need to show people how you can help remove or reduce pain. Wow. 5. Always think in terms of solutions. Make sure your solution is different and better. Note that it doesn't need to be cheaper. Competing on price is usually a losing proposition. Wow. Is the market frustrated with a current solution? Being different isn't enough. Differentiation that makes you better is what you required. There is no point in introducing something if the market is already satisfied with the solution. Your solution must be different or better. It's a significance, not size, that matters. See. 6. Ask others about the idea, but make sure the people you ask are your potential target market. Others may provide insignificant data and are therefore biased and uninformed. Therefore, create a persona. The one person who would benefit the most from your idea. Example, your whole network, community, friends, family, social networks, and ask yourself if any of these people match your persona. Take your idea to this person and discuss it with him or her in detail. This will get you much more relevant data than talking to just anyone. Wow. 7. Create an outline for what you are doing and show it to a subgroup of your community. Ask them to test it for free in return for feedback and confidentiality. As a bonus, the subgroup feels involved and will act as an evangelist, giving views trust and value, and also give you an opportunity to offer the whole solution. Use a blog to build authority and expertise on a subject. Leave comments on the blogs where your target audience hangs out. Wow. Yeah, leaving your comment is important because they know that you are committing it onto it, right? So 7 steps to instant market testing. Parts of this section are based on the advice of Jonathan Fields, the smartest guy I know in the market testing. Learn more at jonathanfields.com. Wow. Keep cost low by investing sweat equity instead of money in your project. By investing sweat equity instead of money in your project, you will avoid going into debt and minimize the impact of failure if it doesn't work out. Jin and Omar started with a total budget of exactly $500. In other part of the Columbus, Ohio, Amy Tan Sharp runs a handcrafted toy company. Startup cost $300. Nicholas Roof in Vancouver, Canada started with only $56.33 the cost of a business license in the 2000. In New York City, Michael Trainer started a documentary business for $2,500 the cost of the camera, which he later sold for a profit. Most of these people are solopreneurs, running a little operation by design. But larger business with multiple employees also opted to keep the initial costs as low as possible. David Henzel, the agency founder in the United Kingdom, whom we met in the chapter 1, started his new partnership for $4,000. Scott Mayer and a business partner whom we will hear more about in chapter 9 started a South Dakota media farm with 4 employees for under $10,000. The point is that the number may vary, but whenever possible, keep costs low. Yes. Get the first sale as soon as possible. In Louisville, Kentucky, I talked with Nick Gartens, who told me about a small photography project he was working on. Nick worked full-time in information technology for someone else's business and had been trying to break into doing something on his own for a while. The something wasn't working yet, though. I'm not sure I've got the right site design or the right messages for visitors, he told me in the coffee shop where we met. I'm always curious about other people's projects, so I flipped open my laptop and asked for the URL to take a look. Well, said Nick, I don't actually have the site up yet. Wow. I would love to tell you that I gave him some brilliant advice, but I didn't have to say anything at all. Nick stared down at his coffee cup in a realization of the obvious. For the project to be successful, he needed to get started. The other people we were hanging out with encouraged him too, and he left the coffee shop determined to make the progress quickly. I was in Kentucky that day on a 50-state book tour, and when I made it to the West Virginia a few weeks later, I saw Nick again. This time he had an excited look on his face and an important update. I got the site up and I made a sale. A stranger had followed the link from somewhere on the internet and paid Nick $50 for a print. If you never sold anything of your own before, you may wonder, what's the big deal? What's the big deal? He sold one $50 print. Huh. But I understand immediately. The first time you make a sale in a new business, no matter the amount, it's a very big deal. Wow. Takayuki, just do it. In the weeks between Kentucky and West Virginia, Nick had figured out the real culprit behind his delay. That conversation made me think about why the site wasn't up yet, he said. In my head, it was all technical. I had to tweak the design and fix some errors in the code. But being host with my wife, I realized it was really that my fear was still holding me back. The technical stuff was just an excuse. What if I don't sell any prints? Or what if nobody likes my work? After realizing why I was stuck, I went home and made the site public that same evening. Within 2 weeks, I had sold that first print. Wow. Other interviewers told countless versions of this story. About how hard it was to get started, but how rewarding it was to receive that first sale. Once the first sale came in, I knew I would succeed. Someone said, it may not have been completely rational, but that single sale motivated me to take the business much more seriously. I was doing a live presentation and opened a shopping cart for our first product launch, someone else said. I saw orders coming in and literally said out loud, yes, this is it. It was huge for my momentum at the time. Therefore, the question you need to ask is, how can I get my first sale? Yes, how can I get my first sale? Competition from other businesses is a problem for another day. The greater problem you face is inertia. Inertia. Nick won the battle against inertia by getting his site up and running and was rewarded with a sale. Yes, inertia is the biggest enemy of me, right? Market before manufacturing. It's good to know if people want what you have to offer before you put a lot of work into making it. One way you can do this is through surveys. Wow. One way you can do this is through surveys, as we saw in the last chapter. But if you are adventurous, you can also just put the something out there, see what the response is, and then figure out how to make it right. So this is all about hypothetical thinking, right? Plan, PDCA cycle, plan, PD, doing, C, check, and PDCA, action, right? A friend of mine did this with an information product aimed at the high-end car industry. He offered a specialty guide that sold for $900, except he didn't actually create it before he advertised it in a magazine. He knew it would be a lot of work to put together the guide, so why do the work if no one wanted it? Partly to his surprise, he received 2 orders. The cost of the ad was just $300, so that represented a $1,500 profit if he could actually create the guide. He wrote to the 2 buyers and said he was developing a new and improved 2.0 version of the guide and would love to send it to them at no additional charges as long as they could wait 30 days for it to be finished. Of course, he offered to refund their money if they didn't want to wait, but both buyers chose to wait for the 2.0 version. He then spent the next month frantically writing the guide before sending it to the eagerly waiting customers. Since he knew he had a success on his hands, and it helped that he actually had a product now. He placed another ad and sold 10 more over the next few months. Wow, few months. Maybe you won't do it that way, but make sure there is a sufficient demand for your product or service before spending your whole life working on it. That's why it's so important to get started as quickly as possible, and why the first sale can be so empowering. Wow, the first sale can be so empowering. Right, do action, Takayuki, right now. Respond to the initial result. After an initial success, regroup and decide what needs to be done next. Jen and Omar responded to a demand by adding more maps and carefully creating new products. 1 year in, they made the decision to stop doing their own fulfillment. Going to the post office was fun when we were first getting started, Jen said. But then we had to do it 3 to 5 times a week, and it got old. They decided to subcontract their shipping to a local warehouse and ended up saving several hours a week. Decision like this may sound like a no-brainer. Why should 2 designers spend their time making post office runs? But implementing them can take a lot of work. In Jen and Omar's case, it wasn't just a matter of hiring the local warehouse to do their shipping. They also had to complete the daunting task of syncing their online shopping cart with a fulfillment house. Finally, it's good to pay attention to what created the initial success, even if it seems accidental or coincidental. In Jen and Omar's case, it may have been a fluke the first time they were featured on a major design site. But what if they could make that happen again? It did happen again and over because they built relationship and pitched their new product in a low-key, common sense manner. This is a process we look at more in the next section of this book. In a micro business built on a low cost and quick action, you don't need to do much formal planning. Mostly, you need the elements we've discussed throughout the book: a product or service, a group of customers, and a way to get paid. Check out the one-page business plan template on the page 102 for a helpful tool.